Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Doesn't look as if we've got too big an agenda this evening, so let's hope that we can move on swiftly. First of all, apologies for absence. I have spoken to Caroline Corbyn, who has had to return to work today after her bereavement leave, so that's why I'm in the chair this evening. So she's apologised. Anybody else?
Yes, we've also received apologies from Councillor Bayliss, and Councillor Johnson is substituting for him.
Fine, thank you. Any others? That's it, is it? Mm-hmm. Right, okay. Public questions or statements?
None have been received.
Do any of the members of the public who are in the room wish to speak in any way at this stage? Because I can't really see behind that lectern. Do you speak now or speak later? Later? Okay, fine. Councillor questions or statements?
None have been submitted.
Minutes of previous meeting. I have had a look at those and I'm happy with them. Is everybody else happy with them? Good, thank you. Declarations of interest?
Councillor Johnson has declared an interest in the application for the Cathedral Hotel.
Right, thank you. Dispensations?
None have been requested nor granted.
Thank you. Chair's announcements. I'd like to remind everybody that this Thursday, this week, is the Southern Area Planning Committee of Wiltshire Council, where they're going to be deciding on the application for the Army Shores site in Harnham. Is everybody familiar with that, or does anybody need reminding what that one's about? So this is the convenience store and drive-through alongside the Netherhampton Road, along with two business units. I think they call them trade counters, don't they? But they're sort of quite large sites. Hello, Attical, come out. I'll wait while you take a seat. It's all right, you haven't missed anything. It's just chair's announcements, and I'm just reminding everybody that on Thursday is Southern Area Planning, when they're going to be discussing the Army Shores site on Netherhampton Road for the convenience store. We have opposed that as a committee, and I will be going to that meeting to represent the City Council's point of view. But if anybody else would like to join me there, I know Councillor Hocking will be there as a member of the committee anyway. But if anybody else would like to turn up there and be a bit of moral support, that would be wonderful. I appreciate that Thursday afternoon is not probably the easiest for everybody, but it would be nice. It's at the City Hall. Right. Planning applications table. The first one is, that's the minutes. Excuse me, everybody, I'm not organised. But I will be. I've got a pavement licence. Here we are. Right, go. 63 Moberly Road. Variation to allow new timber cladding and removal of condition about parking spaces. Anybody have anything they wish to say about that? Are we happy to say no comment, or somebody like to put their hand up for no comment? Yep, all in favour. Support, you think support? Okay, happy to support. Righty-ho. Castleview Care Centre. This is removal of conditions. This is relating to their changing what was originally consented to be a storerooms, 2 bedrooms, which proved a little controversial at the time. But this is a resubmission, according to this. I think Wiltshire Council officers don't seem to see any issue with it. Anybody got anything they want to say? Support or no comment? I prefer no comments, knowing that not all the residents were wildly happy about it when it came through beforehand in its original version. Okay. Mercedes-Benz, the proposed works include partial overcladding as west elevation. That's all fancy decoration, isn't it? Cladding, glazed doors. Everybody okay with that? Support that one? Yes. I can't hear you. Well, it's Mercedes-Benz who appear to be, who are named as the applicant on our list. So that's, I see what you mean. So it's okay. Well, it's now the Kia garage. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Okay, I wouldn't know because I don't take any notice of cars.
So in that case, Chairman, can we object because the name is misleading?
Moving swiftly on, we've got number 2 to 10 Bridge Street, prior notification for conversion of first floor accommodation to 2 flats. Anybody got anything to say on that one? Everybody happy with it? I can't see, sorry. Oh, sorry, I can't see very well. I need to clean
On
this up.
the comments, we approved it last time, and I think all we said is just to make sure that the noise assessment and everything follows through and all the installations fitted. But apart from that, I can't see any problems.
Okay.
We approved it last time, so.
Okay, I must admit, I'm finding the changes to Wiltshire Council's planning portal somewhat annoying and confusing. I have raised that. Everything seems to come up now as a download, doesn't it? And everything says no comments when I know there are comments on some of them. I've contacted 2 planning officers. Sorry, I'm veering off track here a little bit, but I have recently contacted 2 planning officers to say that the comments that I know I have made personally have been shown as no comment. And they have then put those comments on, but I wonder whether it is still happening with other applications. Councillor Suddards.
My understanding when they said that these are the changes, one of the changes they said was comments would no longer be visible. So what we do, which is often look at those comments, we will not be able to see other people's comments. They deliberately do not have them. I mean, they're obviously visible to the planning officers in Wiltshire Council,
Yes.
but they're not visible to anybody else.
Well, that's not right, is it? That cannot be right.
Would you like me to check whether we can access them through our login that we have as a
Could
consultancy?
you do that while we're thinking, and then we could come back to that when we've done article?
Thank you, Chairman. I think that's very important for us to see because as a ward councillor, often we rely on some of the neighbours' comments as well. So if we can't see that, it makes our job a little bit harder, although we do our job saying yes or no. But it helps to see what the resident actually is saying as well, especially with loss of privacy. Let's say there was a objection ground. If we know there is a loss of privacy by the tenant or resident, that gives us a better argument to say. So it's quite important for Wiltshire Council to note that at least the planning committee members should be able to see.
Well, I don't see how you could do it just for the planning committee members. Just a minute, let's see what Sven's got to say about it. He might know more.
Chair, yes, read the public comments bit. We were notified a couple of weeks ago that the comments were going to be taken away and not for public perusal because of data protection requirements.
Well,
the backlash was furious, outrageous vote against democracy. So neither members nor committee or public or anybody could see these things. And the comments have been reinstated, or certainly when I look on Wiltshire Council's planning portal, the comments are there. So if you have a look, I think you'll find they're back.
well, it's interesting because I did look on a couple where you would expect to see comments from the conservation officer under comments, and either he hasn't done it yet, or he hasn't got anything to say, which would be unusual.
But all the complicated stuff that I'm looking at, all the comments are back.
Yeah, well, I did have to ring up 2 different officers and say, can you put my comments back on this planning application, please? I did that last week and it was done. But then I was just puzzled because as I saw no comment on so many of these applications this time round, whether they've done it just to shut me up or whether they're doing it generally.
No, I understand that the comments are back. That,
Yeah.
if anybody knows otherwise, I'd love to hear from them, because then we'll go back and have another fight.
Cathedral Hotel doesn't have any comments, for example.
Which
mean,
is odd, isn't it? You think, once again, if you
Yes,
see, you'd
it'll
think
have
you'd have a
loads of comments.
conservation officer commenting, wouldn't you?
It doesn't have
Is
any-
this just the change of,
Well, it's this, what we've got here, approval for listed building consent in relation to amendments, to the approval internal works.
oh, well, no one ever
So
comments on
that-
this.
that- Whatever that link is, it doesn't have comments.
No one ever comments on listed building consents anyway.
But Andrew Minting would. And we would take our guidance from him as an expert if we didn't really understand
Okay,
that,
Chairman,
wouldn't we?
Chairman, if
Sorry.
we go down, it says no comment. If there is no comment, then there is no comment.
Can we check this anyway,
Yeah.
guys? Can we write to Wiltshire
But
Council and say,
I'd
can we
like to
please
give them-
confirm that the comments are back in for everybody to see? There's no, data protection would be ludicrous because they've always been visible before. You just don't have the person's address.
I'd like to give the benefit of the doubt, as we have the Wiltshire councillor and saying that it is back, then yeah, we'll take his word for it. But if it's not, then this is something. I
Well,
would
let's
like to-
just put the preemptive question in now, and then we don't have to come back to it in 3 or 4 weeks' time when we still can't see something.
Chair, the one other point I will make on that about the comment section, now, there are a number of comments where people used to, if you wrote in a Word document and posted that, it will go in as a file rather than just
Yes,
comments. in a
I
link.
appreciate that. They do
And-
sometimes go in those.
And now the website still says click on the file link above. Well, it's not there. You have to
Yeah.
go back and find the document in the document section, which is all really confusing. It's okay if you know where to look, but if you don't, you had it. So we're trying to get that changed as well.
It's not helpful, is it? And I don't
No, it's
understand
hopeless.
why the change was brought about in the first place, but it seems maybe it's because they know that a lot of these things we're not going to be able to get involved in the
We were told
future.
that it was because it was a new system that had to be introduced for X, Y, because the old system wasn't supported software-wise anymore, so they had to introduce a new one, and this is what the new one is like.
So, but we will have comments visible. On
Should do, there you
everything.
go.
This one now, 2 to 10 on Bridge Street, there are comments, because it just looks like they're displayed slightly differently to before.
Yeah. I'll sit down. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sven. Okay, right, everybody, sorry. What do we think about this one? Anybody got any comments on this one? Are we all happy with it? Yeah, okay, support. Gosh, 29 to 31 High Street, external alterations to listed building for bank closure. This is the Halifax, isn't it? That are closing lots of branches and looks as if they're closing that one. It wasn't something I was previously aware of. No comments on there at all. Anybody got anything they wish to say?
No comments.
It's sort of reinstating a shop front so that it could be any old shop rather than a bank looking like a bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so no comment on that one. Why do you support it? You can propose it, but explain what the difference is in your mind.
Because often previously, Wiltshire Council like to see that instead of saying no comment, it doesn't actually give us any idea. I mean, this is something that we support because that machine is going to be going away. It's going to make it rather nice, and that's how it should be. So we are supporting that application.
yeah.
That's why I often, it's quite easy. I mean, no comment doesn't give them any answer. And I'd like them to think that we have spent that time to think about
Okay.
it as either objection or support.
All right, I'm happy to do that then. And if nobody else is going to object to that, are they? Right, Cathedral Hotel, listed building consent. So did we find any comments on that or not in the end? No, right. Does anybody have anything they want to say? I mean, I presume this is necessary for the conversion to continue, which is something we'd all like to see very much, isn't it? So we support that? Yeah, okie dokie. Harnham East Church House, variation of condition 2. I did read that. I didn't very quickly before I got here because I didn't have much time. Has anybody looked at it in more detail? We've already supported this conversion. Oh, yeah, councillor Bevan.
Yeah, this is the one where they're by Cranebridge, by the bridge on Cranebridge Street.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just it's just a lot of detailed work that they're going to keep it up together to make it look as bespoke as what it is at the moment. So it all looks very good. A lot
Okay,
of detail again, which is probably above my.
yeah.
my
Well, we
grade,
have
but
supported this
It all
in
looks
principle.
good.
Okay, councillor Hocking, do you want to say something?
Yeah, Chair, this is in my patch.
Okay,
It's mainly reconfiguration of the internals of the building, so kitchen layouts and all that sort of stuff. I don't think there's anything that would be visible from the outside.
good.
Mr. Minting has had his say on this, which is one of the reasons why it took 18 months from planning permission from application to get it done. So I'm quite pleased if he doesn't comment on this at all. So I'd be quite happy if this committee supported this to its fullest extent, please. Thank you.
Okay, we're all happy with that then, folks. He's very thorough, and that's to be commended. Now, 43 Pinewood Close, two-storey side and rear extension and replacement of cladding. Anyone? All happy with it? No, I don't think there were any objections, were there? No, okay. So we're happy to support that? Right. Number 1 High Street, retrospective shop sign with flat mat panel fascia. Do we want to have a look at the picture of that? Yeah. There is a picture of it, I know, because I've seen it. Yeah, yeah. You all happy with the look of that?
Chair, I was a little unclear in our policy, our shopfront policy. I mean, it says it's not illuminated, but I mean, last time round, we got quite cross at the kebab place. And I've always thought it's really ugly. And I'm pretty sure we could find text in our policy that says no foot high sticking out.
No, what's sticking out?
The site where it says Tech House, if you actually walk past it, which I do most days.
Right. I see what you mean. It's in relief. I know, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like it. But,
Okay.
you know.
Andrew.
Obviously, I haven't really looked at the dimensions, but I suspect the Tech House lettering is bigger than what we've got in our policy.
This is retrospective, isn't it? So they've already got it. Were there any comments on that?
There was one. There was no objection from
Chairman, I go past that and it's a very busy side anyway, and personally doesn't affect me, but I mean, we have a shop plan policy, and if it's the illumination light is the cause of the problem, I don't personally have the problem with the sign, but if there is illumination, then that might be an issue, but I personally don't think it looks quite smart, to be honest with you, in the high street, so I'm happy with that.
Andrew.
I think what we should perhaps do is what we normally do with these things is say it needs to accord with our policy.
It's
Yeah.
what, sorry?
It needs to accord with our policy,
Yes.
which includes, lighting and size dimensions. And hopefully when we do an
Yeah.
update, no food pictures.
I think the normal form of words then is refer to the shop front policy, isn't it? Are we happy to do that?
Yes, and also we can also refer to say support the conservation officer's report.
Conservation officer. Okay, if you don't agree with that, stick your hand up because there's no point in me keep asking if nobody says anything. Go on.
Sorry, because the comment that you're saying that we're supporting says he's happy with the lights as long as there's no illumination. But if that's against our sign policy in the neighbourhood plan supplementary document, then, we can't say those two things together.
I'm sorry, I can't read it.
It's the highway department comments.
Oh, so it's the highways department aren't objecting. Sorry, I'm having trouble seeing that from this angle. Well, they can say what they
I
like.
think we should just stick to
Okay.
what is our policy, which includes sizing and lighting.
Okey doke. Right, everybody agree with that? Okay, article, yeah. Number 40, Blue Ball Row, installation of replacement fascia signage, projected hanging sign, and associated external lighting. This is that new pub, isn't it? Yeah, what was the Pizza Hut? Yeah. There's an image there, so digital proposed elevation at the top is interesting for people. There we are. No, not in the light, in the wording, I don't think. It says associated external lighting. Ah, could be.
Chair, I'd say it's exactly the same as all of these, is refer to our shop front policy.
Yeah.
And if it's
Yeah.
within it, I mean, we don't know what the dimensions of that are so in this meeting, but
No,
that's up to the planners to find out.
okay, yep.
Sorry, Chairman, I mean, although looking at this side, I'm just thinking, is that a internal white light with the Coopers and Co, or is just white paint?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
That if he's got light, then of course we will object to it, but if it doesn't have any light, then I think it's perfectly
Does
fine.
it
It's
say
quite
on the,
difficult to see.
Does it say on the paperwork? On the application form, what does it say? Oh, God, someone's going to have to read that to me. I can't see that.
In individually mounted halo illuminated.
Halo illuminated, what does that mean?
Same previous one. So lights.
Backlighting.
Each letter is back is lit. So otherwise like a halo.
Right.
I mean, what does that, what our shop front policy say?
I don't know what our shopfront policy says about halo illuminated lights as opposed to any other ones. What we don't want is the whole thing with the big bright lights behind it, isn't it? I don't know whether we go into that detail.
I doubt any other Blue Borough has those kind of, so
No.
that will be setting a precedent for others.
Yes, understood.
So,
Yes, it
yeah.
would. Okay, well, all we can do then is refer to the shopfront policy and let Wiltshire Council interpret it.
Yeah.
Wyndham Park Conservative Club, change of use from social club to single-storey private dwelling.
Oh, what a shame.
Partial demolition of existing building. Want to look at this one, folks?
It's a very dense populated area, Chairman. So, I mean,
Yeah.
moving a social club to a house, it can be only better for the neighbors than anything else. So I'm happy to support.
You happy with the design of the building? Pretty functional, doesn't it?
I think
A polite
seen
word for it.
We've seen this a few times, but I'm sure they've shrunk it, 'cause I'm sure before they were going to build
Was it
build
taller?
into the roof.
Yes.
So now they've brought it to one level. I can't see there being any problem with it at all.
And it is Mr. Sample's ward, so
Yeah.
he hasn't commented anything.
It
So
is what?
it is Mr. Sample's ward, Mr. Paul Sample's ward. So, yeah.
I think. Anybody want to make a proposal?
Happy to support.
Yeah, Seconder?
Yep.
All agreed? Good. Now, late outbreak of democracy from the chairman. 32 Manor Road. Oh, this is trees. We're on trees now, which we can take on block unless anybody has any one of them that they wish to raise. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tree applications. 9, 10 tree applications there. Has everybody had a look at them and worked out if there are any that they'd like to object to or not? Richard?
Just to comment that there's a couple of applications to fell.
Which ones are those? Would you like to direct us to those?
One is a small cherry in a courtyard, and the other is...
Sorry, I'm not hearing very well.
Sorry, one is a small cherry in St Anne Street. No, sorry, that's the birch. Yeah, there's the birch tree in St Anne's Place. We don't normally like to fell trees unless they're diseased, damaged, dying. That doesn't appear to be the case. It has been looked after quite well from the photos.
Okay.
I'll just draw your attention to
Well,
that.
let's have a look at it.
Yeah, there's a couple that I couldn't possibly see any problem with. It's the silver birch there in the middle that looks like it's a healthy tree.
It says it's historically been crown reduced.
So that's the beech tree that's right next to that wall. It's the cherry they're only trimming, I think. But there's a birch tree in them, which looks reasonably mature. I just wanted to draw your attention to
Which is the one they want to chop down and why?
the middle one is the birch tree. I think.
What's wrong with it?
Birch is commonly known as a weed. So.
Yeah.
As a what?
Well, they're known as weed trees, so the birches.
Really?
Yeah.
You got me there. I think it looks all right. I can't see what's wrong with it. I'm just trying to understand why you'd want to do that. I mean, normally, if somebody says they want to fell something because it's damaged or dangerous, then we wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
But it's not the sort of tree that cuts out an awful lot of light. Is it?
When it comes to trees, Chairman, it's the best subject of Councillor Hocking, so I'm sure he'll put some light into it.
Councillor Hocking, come and join us. No, come up and talk so I can hear you properly.
My words of wisdom on this would firstly be, so I'm not wearing sunglasses to be cool, I'm wearing sunglasses because they're the only long range ones I've got, which means I can see the screen. My sage words for this would be, it's their tree in their garden, their application, you're looking at a picture. So there might well be something wrong with it. And you're not going to be able to see that from looking at a photograph on Google Maps or whatever.
No, okay, so we need to look at presumably it's a TPO tree, otherwise it wouldn't be coming up, would it?
I think it's the conservation area that's...
It's just a general point. I mean, for me, if it's a tree that's only one tree, then you've got to sort of have a look at what it's impinging. If it's one of several trees, often people just want, when they planted them, they were small and they weren't, sort of touching each other. Yet, 20 years later, they start to take a huge amount of light. We have no idea without, forensically looking at Google Maps as to where the sun is, where the shadow is, whether they want the shade or they want the sun. I mean, I am fortunate around my house, there are quite a few trees, except for one I really hate, which belongs to one of my neighbours. Silver birches are, they grow huge, and what started out as a nice tree, becomes a nuisance tree. The other general point I would make is, I just did a little bit of research of this about several months ago when we were talking about tree planting, is, Salisbury has 50,000 trees within our city boundaries, approximately. And the growth that you have from every single tree on average is the equivalent of planting one new tree, if not two new trees. But if you take a conservative estimate, the growth that you have on a tree is equivalent to planting one new tree. So we, as a city, are effectively doing the equivalent of planting 50,000 trees a year, just by tree growth. That is a conservative estimate. So I think, my general point would be, even if somebody wants to take it down, by all means, I think we should look at it. I certainly think we should look at it. But if there's, for instance, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees we can see. They want to take one down. Those other trees, those 4 other trees, will be growing next year. They'll be, compensating for that one they want to take down. So that's just a general point I have in the back of my mind, and I commend people to think about that as well in the future. Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything on that one?
Well, previously, Chairman, although we're not expert on trees, but we've often referred our comments to the tree officer report, so they know best. Obviously, they inspect every one of them, so we often refer to their comments, so supporting their comments.
We
So
do. He's
I'm
a
happy
busy
to do
boy,
that
that tree
today.
officer, isn't he? He's got a lot on. Do members want to do that? Feel inclined to do that? What do you mean, all comments? I'm sorry.
So we've got many trees issue here today, so we can sink all our comment in one box by saying that we support the tree officer's report instead of going individually. If we're going to take all it in block, we might as well just say all at
Well, the
once.
tree officer's not going to plough through all of these, is he? He's going to have reasons to do this. Otherwise, he'd never get out of Salisbury and do the rest of the county, would he?
Yeah. Also, it does make a mockery of what we're spending our Monday evenings doing. If we're just saying, somebody else think about it.
Yeah.
What are we elected for? Except to make
I think in this
use our best
case, my suggestion would be to recommend that the tree officer looks at that one and to approve the rest.
Sorry, Councillor. No comment or to approve.
No, I don't. Well, the rest are not trying to chop anything down. They're just trying to manage them. So I think we can approve the rest. I think it's just when they're being chopped down, it would be nice to have the advice of that expert, wouldn't it? Everybody agree? So we'll approve them all except, but that's the felling one. Did you say there was another felling one, Richard?
I'm struggling to find it. but
Is
I'm
it? I
sure
think
there
it's
was.
in late business, I'm advised. So we've got that, guys, haven't we? We're going to the one that's tree officer, and the others are okay. Sorry, struggling to keep up here. Now, are we going on late business or going on to the? Yeah, okay. Where is late business? Probably were before I got hold of them. Just excuse me a minute, folks. I'm in search of late business. Perhaps it's tacked on. No, it's not. No. It's your tree, Richard. Oh, and then it goes on to the highways improvement forms. Okay. Okay. Yeah. What does anybody think about that one? Have you had a look at it, Richard?
So that was the one I had in mind, but I don't have, it's only a little one.
It does look a bit sad, doesn't it? Anybody got any views on that one? Somebody? Okay, we're going to let that one go. Approve that one then, thank you.
And appreciate that they've gone to the effort of
Taking a picture.
taking it, bringing it here
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Very
very good.
true.
yeah.
Now I'm looking for the right order to do the highways improvement forms in.
We've got more print letter.
It's got, right, where are we then? What's the first one? London Road lay-by.
Yeah, we got it. Right.
I'm sure I'll find it. Thank you. No, it's, I've got one. I've got one, right. Yeah. London Road lay-by. They want to have one of those white line things, don't they? Yeah. This is something that you can ask for. It's rather than having yellow lines, isn't it? It's just to keep your access clear. Well, I got some residents in Harnham who I'm about to talk to about that. Yeah. Is that in anybody's ward who's present here this evening? No.
When I used to be the ward member, I remember it's very difficult, but having a lot of issues, especially people parking as well. So I'm not sure how they're going to tackle it. But as you said, good luck. It's going to be very difficult. I don't know what to say.
I think these white lines have to go to LH Fig. I think Councillor Dalton was advising me about this because there's some I'm doing in Harnham, or hoping to. I think we just refer that on to LH Fig. Yeah?
Agree.
Everybody?
So
Okay.
I'm just going to...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
It's slightly off the topic, Chairman, if you allow me for 1 minute, while we are on the subject of highway. I mean, a week ago, I posted something on Salisbury soapbox or Salisbury notice board about those roundabouts, traffic light. I mean, spending all these millions. I mean, over the last several months, I have to say, it has been a joy of traffic flow on the roundabouts and things like that. As a councillor, look, I've been here almost 30 years. Obviously, I wouldn't put anything, jeopardize resident safety and things like that. But can you guide me, or is there something that from our side or from my side, put a proposal towards the council, that at least a trial period, stop, I mean, spending all this money on traffic light, just leave it turned off. And also in the future, on the night time, let's say, we have huge traffic, the light pollution, the congestion and everything. After 10 o'clock to 4:30 in the morning, for instance, we really need to have the traffic lights on, because the traffic flows very well without those traffic lights. I know there is a safety concern. That's the hurdle that we're going to go over. But one I remember very clearly when I was also the portfolio holder for street scenes, when we hosted the Armed Forces Day, there was huge influx of traffic. The only way that all the traffic would move and have a fast flow is to turn off that roundabout traffic light on Castle Road. And it worked wonders. So the highway knows that when the traffic light is off sometime, it works better. And for the last 3 months, I mean, within the comment, there's hardly one negative. 356 comments is all been positive. That it's a great, people loving the traffic light. Is there something as a councillor that I can put forward a proposal?
I think I'm going to get, before we take any more members, I'm going to get Councillor Hocking, who's probably got some inside knowledge on this and has been waving his hand at me. So let's see if it just might.
I'm just asking for your guidance as well, Chairman. Is that something that as a councillor, can we put forward something to council?
I just want to know what the rules are.
So,
This is for information so that we can continue.
So with my portfolio for highways hat on a few years ago and chairman of the underpasses working group and knowing national highways and Wiltshire Council highways as well as I do, we have, and residents have, and committee members have, and co-opted members have been petitioning National Highways for years to run a trial with the lights turned off to see if the traffic flows better, because we know that it does. And everybody who lives in the cities knows that it's better when they're off. They won't do it, and they'll argue it's on safety grounds, but the real reason they don't want to do it is that while they're highways engineers and we're not, they don't want to be proved wrong by a load of people who are not highways engineers. So I'm very cynical, but that's the main reason they won't do it. They don't want to be seen to be wrong in their assessment of the situation. So they'll claim it's safety, but actually, have we had any accidents on the roundabout since the lights have been off? Don't think so. But yeah, so that's the position at the moment. No one will countenance any work to the traffic lights whatsoever. They want them back on. They want them switched on with the new mover software in them to see if that makes the traffic flow any better around the city generally. I suspect it probably won't, because I suspect the lights aren't clever enough to do that. There are too many variables. But that's enough from me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Councillor Sudders next, because he's had his hand up first.
Yeah, so I thought Councillor Taylor brought this as a resolution, and whilst I supported it, it was voted down. I still think, we should revisit this issue, but I don't think now's the time to do it. I think, unfortunately, I think we have to live with what we've got, get even more anecdotal evidence of people being used to it. I think we need to, see what this, mover flow, synchronized traffic lights effect is. And only then, when people say it's no better, then effectively we would have, that would be the time to strike once again. But given, we as a council, and I can't remember whether it was here at the planning committee or at full council, voted against, unfortunately, one of my colleagues' resolution, I think we'd be spending a lot of effort, going nowhere fast. I would wait 6 months and then, bring the topic up again when at least we got more evidence as to what actually the
I think that's
final
very wise.
solution
I
that
think,
Wiltshire
I think
Council
that's
has
very wise. And
gloriously paid for and
I think
implemented.
we've probably digressed far off the agenda here, which is my fault as chairperson for letting it happen. But I think that it is a point worth raising. And I think now we've got this system going in, we need to give it a period of time after which we can then raise the argument again if we should wish to, with a bit more evidence. The money's being committed now, and I think that's what we need to do. I think if you want to raise it again, perhaps bring it up under any other business at the end of the next meeting or at the end of this meeting, because otherwise we're just going all over the place. That is my fault. Yeah, okay. Right, thank you. And the next one. Pavement license, is that, which one is that, Sonder Coffee, yeah, Sonder Coffee pavement license.
Chair, I have something to say on this one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Brown, just before you do, can I just point out that I have checked with Wiltshire, because on the application, the paperwork says it's temporary. It is not, it is for a permanent pavement licence.
Yeah.
No?
Yep.
So for a start, on this form, it doesn't actually say, it's weird, their application, because it says 0 tables and it's 4 meters, 0.4 depth and 1.
Just
Is
a
that
bench.
literally what they're asking for?
Just a bench.
I mean, it just seems odd that they're asking just for a bench. So that's why that was what I was irritated about.
They just want a bench to sit so somebody can sit and hold a coffee.
Right.
Well, that's not
Now,
unreasonable.
I think,
is it?
now I'm going to have my proper rant.
Go on
I
then.
think that corner, and I came here and I nearly got run over this very evening on my way to this important meeting, because that's my way through from the close, through the arch. And I think it's outrageous and ridiculous what Wiltshire Council is allowing to happen on that road for pedestrians, because you come across the narrow pavements through the arch, through the gate from the close, and then it's full of people milling about and people with push chairs and all sorts of stuff. And there's cars trying to come through and people walk into the road, which is already dangerous. And then they snake back, as I try and do, to wait for the light to turn green, the pedestrian light. And then you get across quickly and you're faced with aroma already. In addition to saying no to a bench or any other obstruction, I would also rescind what aroma's doing next door, because there should be nothing. It's impossible to come across a pedestrian crossing and being faced with a load of tables like that. And then people middle about and then they reverse in their bodies and then they nearly get run over and they go, it's terrible. And I hear it's because of cyclists, and don't get me started on them, that Wiltshire Council in their wisdom said, oh, we push all the people to the side because the cyclists have to be able to run everyone over on a bloody pedestrian road. I think the whole thing is a disgrace.
I
And
tell you
I
what,
say
we
no
won't
to
get you
this, and I
started, eh?
Retrospectively, you say no to the whole street.
Good point.
I'm very cross about it.
Yeah, it does say 2 benches on this letter, on this form further down. I've seen that. Right, who had their hand up first? Andrew.
Could I request that we just call up Google Maps, please, of the bottom end of the high street? So I certainly have sympathy with Councillor Mack's view. And if you could put the satellite picture on view. If you just click on it first and then. To layers or whatever.
Chairman, while you're on it, I would just like to second the councillor's rant. I will second that.
I second that rant.
It's a quite traffic, and it needs to be, yeah.
So I think this picture here perfectly, demonstrates that, next door Aroma have got some huge, great thing, which takes up half the high street.
Yeah.
Sonder has got nothing, but obviously they are on the corner and people are going to come around the corner. I certainly sympathise with what Sonder are asking for, which is, 2 benches side by side, 0.4 of a metre, albeit it does go on the pavement. And the idea that we've got a lot of kind of unfairness of, huge, great things within the high street. It would seem probably a little bit unfair to say no to Sonder when they're faced with this thing, next door to them. But equally, I don't know how we can solve the whole of High Street. One go here and now.
Chair, can I have another go?
Go on then. Have
Well,
another
I've
go.
been arguing it with my partner quite a lot as I walk out every day. I think what's needed is, like old Paul Shaddock from the transport, what you need is when it's a corner, there should be no obstruction, where people need to come round a corner, even on foot or across. So I think that's what we should say. And I think in this case, I agree with Councillor Suddarth, the biggest culprit is Aroma next door, because that thing is the danger. I don't think this bench will do much worse. It's not anything like as bad as what's already there, but it's going to make it a bit worse. But I think we should go one step further and look at, there surely should be a policy from either Wiltshire or ourselves, but Wiltshire, I suppose, that you shouldn't have obstructions within so many feet of a corner. And the third thing I'd like to say is, why can't we move them back? There was a time when a lot of this stuff was in the middle. And that's where it is. When you go to other cities around the world, you cross out of the cafe or the bar, and the lovely tables are in the middle of a square or something. They're not shoved against where people are trying to walk around the edge.
Why that is that they've done that there? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they've done it, I heard, allegedly for the cyclists. And why have they got more rights than pedestrians?
That's a point, isn't it?
That's my view.
Councillor Hocking, you want to come in on this one as well?
For a penny in for a pound, Chair. The first thing I'd like to say is actually, so when you cross on the crossing on the right-hand side, if you get off your phone and look where you're going, as you cross the road, you can see where Aroma's Cafe is, and you can, in fact, walk along and go like this. You can sort of move out to the side a little bit, so you don't have to walk straight into where their chairs and tables are. I believe Wiltshire Council policies now is to move people to the left-hand side or the right-hand side and keep the centre open for pedestrians and cyclists. That was the last I heard. But I think the Sonder bench is fine. Sonder applied for planning permission for a licence to put seats outside the front of their building, a la Aroma, but were turned down because it was too close. It was felt then it was too close to the corner of the street. Yeah, so Sonder are just looking to put a bench under their window rather than chairs and tables, so I'm happy with that. But as for the pedestrian crossing, people need to look where they're going a bit more, is my suggestion. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Chairman, I think Councillor Sadat put it very succinctly and correct as well. It's very unfair to say no to Saunders, but it's just going to carry on. We need to find a point. And coming back to Councillor Hawking's point, yes, pedestrian needs to see, but this is a very busy junction, and we have tourists from all around the world as well. Sometimes they do confuse left and right, so we have to be a bit careful. But it is going to be very unfair to say no to Saunders, but we have to find a point where they need to understand why we are kind of objecting or trying to make that issue, and or maybe ask Aroma to small it and put some chairs for Saunders.
Councillor Bevan.
If you go further down to Boston, they've actually moved their chairs closer to their opening, to where they used to be able to walk from the shop, then you used to have a gap, and then the benches, they've moved theirs closer to the shop. So
Who
now
has?
you have to walk around the outside. So really Aroma could push theirs closer to their shop, and then if Sonder put the benches there, then everyone would walk down the middle of the high street. Job's sorted then. You don't need to worry about going around the corner.
I want to make one final submission, is that to, Councillor Hocking's point, you can do this little shuffle, but you can't, because there's a million people who are lost with funny hats on, all looking around and milling and just standing. You can't go. It's not empty. It's rammed, especially on a weekend. It's rammed with people who are confused, lost, a bit hot, and a bit annoyed. It's not safe.
I get that. I can see that picture in my mind, because when I go across there, it is very, very busy. There are an awful lot of people trying to squeeze through that space. Who's got a proposal then?
Propose it.
Yeah. What would you like to propose?
I would like the benches to go ahead.
Sorry,
I approve for the permit to go, for the licence to be.
you're happy for them to go ahead
Yeah,
with
I am,
benches?
yeah.
Anybody seconding? All right. All in favour? 1, 2, 3. So that at the moment is not passed. I'm sitting on the bench on this one. Has anybody got a different proposal? Does anybody want to propose that we? Yeah, I said anybody in favour. 3 people voted in favour.
So who's voting against?
Oh, all right. What about abstentions then? I did. Right. Who is voting against? 2 people. And who is abstaining at the moment? Right. So we don't have a counter proposal then, do we? At the moment, that means, yeah, that means that they've approved it. Yeah. Thank you for your help, Councillor Hocking. Right. Yeah. So we are. Okay, the vote was carried. We are approving that, folks. Apologies if you're not happy with it, but that's what we're doing. Right, okay, next. Next. Bottom of Old Blandford Road where it meets Harnham Road. This is where somebody wants to do away with a parking lane that's marked at the bottom of the road on the left-hand side. Is there a drawing with this of how much of it they want to move? Yeah, that's what I'm slightly concerned about. I didn't see a picture. They want to move that whole lane. Well, that's a bit, no. Right, yeah. And they don't have any view of people coming up and down the hill. Right, go. Does it come right in on it? Right, so it's those parking spaces that it's talking about as you, yeah, see that dotted line as you go up the hill. Janine, can you go up a bit? Yeah, that's it. Go up a bit more. Yeah. So it's that bit there within the dotted lines. I think that's an awful lot of parking to lose as a Harnham councillor, particularly since it would affect people wanting to use the Memorial Hall and parking for school. Andrew.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, as on a Harnham councillor, I absolutely agree with you. I think there's plenty of space between the bottom of that box and the Netherhampton Road. It's not, you know, that's a decent amount of space.
What about visibility from Chiselby Grove?
I think there's space there too. I think, you know, when we talk about, you know, some people park there to then walk their kids along to the junior school, for instance.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a massive amount of space to lose.
Yeah, I agree.
There, and to say, well, just because there's a box further to the left, further up the road, they can all use that instead. We want
to be encouraging people to park there rather than going through the estate and blocking up outside people's houses.
I mean, it's fair to say some people do park there. Some people do park there and then walk down over, you know, one of the two bridges and, you know, avoid parking fees to walk into town. So it is a place where people avoid parking fees. But I think, you know, it may be a small nuisance, but to lose that amount of parking space in an important area, I don't support.
Agree with, again, Councillor Sutton is correct, and I think it's going to cause more issue than solve any problem. So
I'm quite happy to propose that we don't go ahead with this one. Anybody who's going to second me? Right, okay, anybody, all in favour of not supporting this request? Okay, thank you very much. So that one is declined. Next. And we've got, which one have we got? Parsonage Green. Right, this person in Parsonage Green has recently dropped their curb and would like a white H-bar line. So it's the same thing as we looked at before, to stop people parking over their driveway. I think they do have to pay for this themselves when they get it done, I'm told. So, you know, it's not something that you just do for the sake of it. And we all know what the parking is like in Parsonage Green. I'm happy to support this. Has anybody else got a contrary view? Well, have I got a seconder? Councillor Suddards. All in favour of saying no to this? Saying yes to this, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, next up on Milford Hill. Milford Hill. Install a mirror at the top of the hill by Godolphin School. I think they're.
on the little roundabout. There's a mirror as you come out of Godolphin, but I don't believe there's a mirror on the roundabout itself.
But who's using this mirror? Coming from which?
Coming out of
There's three roads coming.
Yeah.
Coming out of Shady Bower or the other.
No, coming
Oh, when you come out past Godolphin School, there is a mirror if you're turning right, unless it's broken. There is one. Yeah, have we got a plan?
I don't see what a mirror would do for that junction.
I thought there was a mirror there. Did you say something else?
Sorry, I don't see what benefit a mirror would make for that junction. I'm not sure which.
Valerie Lane goes off over there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so it's a, right, blind roundabout if you're coming out of Bellamy Lane.
Had to point out that mirrors aren't usually part of the street furniture installed by councils anyway, so
I've got a feeling Wiltshire are not keen on mirrors.
nowhere is. They're not part of the standard fixtures.
But besides, quite apart from that, is it something that members would support? Okay, has anybody got a proposal to make? Councillor Saddards? Seconded? All in favour of voting against this? Sorry, I'm not expressing it well. Right, so that's a no. Right, I'm going to hand over to Janine, who's going to brief you on stuff that I've been talking to Andy Hunt about. Unfortunately, Andy's not very well today.
Yeah, apologies from Andy this evening. He says, sorry, can't attend. So I've got a little bit of an update regarding the Greyfisher appeal. So our barrister is currently reviewing the evidence received from local residents, councillors and the Cycling Opportunities Group for Salisbury, so that's COGS. Councillor Hocking, Councillor Riddle and a representative from COGS have indicated that they would be willing in principle to give evidence. And I'm seeking, when I say I mean Andy, I'm seeking confirmation and full evidence outlines from potential resident witnesses. So our legal counsel is expected to provide an update tomorrow on whether there is sufficient evidence for SCC to continue with the Rule 6 party at the public inquiry. I will update councillors again once the advice has been received. You may have additional information, but that's Andy's update.
No, I spent the afternoon writing notes for Andy's benefit of the reasons why I don't think that this is a good idea, this Greyfisher is a good idea. I know Councillor Hocking has done the same thing. I think it's really just for members' information at the moment. So we're not committed to Rule 6, are we? What they call Rule 6, is it they call it?
So it's Rule 6 party.
Yeah,
so that's the route that we're investigating and pursuing at the moment
we will only
with
go
council.
through on that route if the legal advice that we get when they've assessed the information which we've all been submitting in the last few days is sufficient in the view of the lawyers. So because we obviously don't want to waste the council's money. So we are waiting for that advice. It's unfortunate it will arrive the day after this meeting, but the timetable is very tight for this. The dates by which all these various pieces of paper have to be submitted to the inspectorate or to Wiltshire is very tight. So since members have at a previous full council meeting agreed that this planning application is not a good idea and that we should oppose it, I think it's just for information at this stage.
So in terms of the timeline, Councillor Riddle, my understanding is if we do submit the Rule 6 party, that's by this Friday, hence the timeline. If the advice, which I don't know what the outcome will be, but if the advice is to submit interest party instead, then I believe we've got to the end of the month to do that. So then we'd have another couple of weeks to look at that option as well. But I don't know what the outcome will be from legal counsel until tomorrow, I'm afraid.
I think what might be useful, Janine, is if the officers, busy as they are, could circulate the legal counsel's advice to the members of this committee when it's received tomorrow or the next day. It is an odd situation when 2 or 3 of us feel that we're sort of working in a bit of a vacuum, and we're quite like to have the opinions and the input of other members of the committee. Is that okay? Lovely, thank you. Councillor Bevan.
Have we had any update from Wiltshire Council, as in how their process is going?
I believe Andy's been in liaison with Wiltshire Council, and my understanding is he's found out on what basis they're undertaking Rule 6 party, and my understanding is that we can't put ours forward based on the same evidence or the same reasoning.
Okay.
So I believe theirs is based on traffic and traffic data. So that's why we can't pursue the same route. And I believe that's why we've gone more the public consultation route. But I haven't been involved in all the correspondence. So that's why maybe Councillor Hockin has his hand up to clarify. But yes, Andy has liaised with Wiltshire Council along the way.
Okay. Yeah,
We have to make sure we don't get, if they get stuck with costs because they don't win, and we're saying, yeah, we agree, then we might get clobbered too. So we have to look at it from a different way. Sven.
The Salisbury City Council absolutely can go in for the same reasons that Wiltshire Council can. There's no reason why we can't whatsoever. So we don't have to do anything different if you want. In fact, we can add to. We're not bound necessarily by the reasons that Wiltshire Council gave for refusal. We can think up plenty of our own. And if provided we don't come up with some spurious stuff that is not reasonable, we will not be awarded costs against us, provided our objections are justifiable, data-driven, and we don't have to make the appellant go away and do more work, then we will not be awarded costs. So this business about scaring the committee to death about being awarded costs against it if we lose is not so. You will only get costs if you apply under Rule 6 and give a load of spurious stuff. If you rock up and say, I don't like this because I hate Tesco's, and you lose, you'll get costs against you. If you go in and say, I don't like this because the data that has driven the traffic flow forecasts are from 4 stores which are utterly unrepresentative of the store that they're looking at, and the data they've given for their outcome is not is not valid. It is therefore not valid for their site because the sample sites they've used are completely different to what they're using. That is a legitimate reason to stand. And if you have a legitimate reason for saying what you do, you will not be awarded costs. So can we please get this stuff out of our head? If we lose, we'll be awarded costs against us, because that is absolutely not the case. Okay?
But this is why we do need, obviously, we won't proceed without confirmation from our lawyers that this is the correct course of action to protect ourselves.
So, as I understand, Wiltshire Council's objections won't be just traffic. It's not traffic. It's highways safety. It is traffic related insofar as at the moment the concerns are cars will be able to turn right across 2 lanes of traffic to access the site when they're driving up towards the hospital, because there is nothing in the design of the junction that will stop them from doing that.
It's mad.
There is a concern about the number of vehicles coming in and out of the site, coming into contact with pedestrians and cyclists walking down the footpath adjacent to it. So it's highway safety, I suspect, will be the grounds that Wiltshire Council are going to object on. The biodiversity thing, I don't think they'll fight, because BNG can be determined after application, so they don't have there's not a lot of ground to stand on that. And the retail impact assessment, I suspect they'll probably struggle with as well, because Wiltshire Council have an independent consultant that did that retail impact assessment, and they sort of agreed with the applicant's retail impact assessment. So that's the sort of thing where if you went in and said, actually, we disagree with the applicant and we disagree with Wiltshire Council, if both sides, the appellant and the LPA, have decided that this is a legit document, then you're going to struggle, and that might well be deemed spurious because the appellant will go back and say, okay, I need to get more data. And that's the bit they'll have to do, and that's the bit we'd have to pay for if we lost the appeal. Yeah. So I suspect it's going to be highway safety will be the number one thing. And I can't remember what the second thing was. There were 4 reasons.
Well, the residents' amenity was the other
amenity
one.
was the second one. And I think the amenity one is as strong a case as the highway safety issue. In Ayleswade Road, Bretford Lane West, Newbridge Road, that horseshoe, all those houses will now have a car park in their back gardens, which will be lit 5 in the morning until midnight. And all that light will be shining straight through people's back windows, 18 hours a day. Plus cars, plus delivery vehicles, plus the antisocial behaviour issue, which I suspect will arise when the place is in darkness and can't be seen from the road. Those are the things that I would expect Wilts will probably be majoring on. Can't comment because I haven't actually seen any of the, apart from the statement of case, I've not seen any other info. But I have met their highways consultant, had a chat with him. So it's rolling on. But just, again, this business about if we lose, we'll be awarded costs against us is not true unless we do something really stupid. So please don't frighten everybody to death with the costs issue, yeah? Because people go, oh, costs, we better not do anything with this because if we lose, we'll get awarded costs. You'll only get awarded costs if you do something stupid, yeah? Provided you evidence it and you make a proper case, the judge will go, yeah, I can see why you've done that. That's fair.
Article.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree what Councillor Hocking is saying, but can I also remind councillors that a long time ago, I remember very well, the Tesco side where the Premier Inn is, where we had a huge issue with traffic, everything that we can think of, we objected. Every single thing was against it. We were even awarded £50,000, Salisbury City Council, which we refused to take because we were happy with it. We found all the evidence go against it, but no, in Tesco, they will find something behind the scene and they will get it approved. So what I'm just trying to remind you that we are going up against a big firm. They stopped Sainsbury building because they, there was a threat. But I'm not going to go to that one. But unless we find a robust reason for objection, including Wiltshire Council and Salisbury City Council needs to work very closely, it's just going to go to another appeal and they will win it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, this is why we are taking legal advice, and that's all I can say on it until we see what the legal advice is. Right, okay, that's enough on that one. And what's the next one, Janine?
So just a bit of an update about Wiltshire Local Plan, the scoping consultation that's coming up next. So the first stage of the consultation on the new Wiltshire Local Plan is from the 2nd to the 30th of September this year. So this will be seeking views on what the plan should contain and how people and organisations wish to be involved in its as it develops. Here it says there'll be public engagement events, including at Salisbury Market on Tuesday, the 8th of September. And there'll also be an online webinar on Thursday, the 17th of September, between 6 and 7. With also, there will be further events taking place in Chippenham, Royal Wootton Bassett, Devizes and Trowbridge. So we've been informed of those events. Wiltshire Council is also going to be holding workshops for town and parish councils, with invitations initially being limited to 1 representative from each council. So Andy has written to the strategic planning team at Wiltshire requesting that Salisbury is allowed 1 member from each ward to attend, plus 2 officers. So we're waiting for a response to that request to see if we can have more councillors attend those workshops when they come about. He's also proposed that Salisbury has a dedicated workshop of its own, and we also include Wilton and Laverstock and Ford in that as these areas are connected in their infrastructure, etc. So again, we're waiting to see whether Wiltshire Council would like us to do that. I believe he's even suggested this could be a venue to do so. And finally, we've also waiting from a response from Councillor Ian Thorne from the leader of Wiltshire Council. There was an invitation to meet with him, so we have requested to do so, and we've followed that up. So hopefully we can have that meeting sooner rather than later to talk about the process going forward. That's it. Thank you.
If members have anything that they want to inject at this stage, we've all had a meeting, an email, haven't we, from Andy asking if we can think about potential brownfield sites for inclusion. And I hope we are thinking very hard, and I hope it's not just the members of this planning committee, but every councillor who's looking into that if we want to protect our green fields and getting those recommended sites in. Doesn't matter if you won't have to stand up and justify it in some hearing or other. All you have to do is put it in and let them think about it. Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. I really support effectively virtually everything that Andy put in his email and that document. I think I'd just like to bring out a couple of points for the room here, which I think are really important. One is, we're putting brownfield sites, suggestions in, and that's obviously just on a Salisbury city, parish council perimeter basis. But equally, I do agree with effectively, this intent for the future, that when it comes to development, we can't just look at, Salisbury city boundary. We have to look particularly at Laverstock and Ford, but probably also Wilton, when it comes to sort of the development, future ideas. Because ultimately, people think of Greater Salisbury, they don't just think of our, 8 parish boundaries. And I think the other thing is, I'll be very interested when we do actually have the final brownfield list, which isn't just, because obviously quite a lot of the brownfield may not be, in scope for development. And I think one of the key conclusions will come out of that is Salisbury really does not have a lot of brownfield land that's available for development. And I think that will be a key conclusion in itself. I may be proved wrong if councillors, pull brownfield land out of the hat, which is right for development, but I suspect that won't be the case. And one of the key conclusions is Salisbury really does not have a lot of brownfield land. And I think that, and our lack of ability to have, commercial land, which obviously creates jobs, will be, one of our stronger arguments as, we should not be hit with a huge housing target. But obviously that's all for the future, but I'm just speculating now, a conclusion possibly for the future. Thank you.
Okay, so that was just purely an update regarding the local plan in general. So the next item is regarding the boundaries.
Has anybody got anything else they want to say about the local plan in general at this stage? No, I think Andy has made a very good point about Salisbury only being offered one place at the table, as it were, which equates us with every tiddly little village for miles around. Every parish of 3 men and a dog will get the same representation as we do. I think that's very wrong, and I think it's very rude and probably very deliberate. So I think that is something we need to dig in about, and if necessary, be prepared to make a fuss about. I think that the work that we have done in the last 4 or 5 years on building relationships with our neighbouring parishes through the neighbouring parishes meetings, which we've had every couple of months, although I'm not involved with them any longer personally, should stand us in good stead for trying to work with them on the wider area, in fact, the sort of Salisbury housing management area, rather than trying to treat Salisbury just as this tiny little place and stuff as many houses into it as we can. Obviously, there's going to be some considerable I imagine, some considerable arguments to come. Councillor Hocking.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, a couple of points. Absolutely, we should be digging our heels in about having one councillor representing the whole of the city, whereas East Grimston Parish Council also get one member for their village. So it is important that we stand our ground and fight for that. One member per ward rather than one member per council would be far more acceptable. The only other point I'd probably like to make, given where we are with housing and brownfield and greenfield sites, is given that the leader of Wiltshire Council is responsible for delivering the new local plan with the doubled housing numbers in it, and has also appointed himself head of strategic planning at Wiltshire Council, do you think it's appropriate? Does this council think it appropriate that this individual also has a planning consultancy which represents a number of developers who will be extremely interested in getting their hands on these sites? Thank you.
I think this is something that has been discussed elsewhere. I don't think it's the place of this planning committee to go into those personal things. I think if it's something you want to bring up, you should do it at full council.
I disagree. The local plan is really important for this city. We are a strategic hub. We have main roads, we have a railway station, and we've just seen Andy Burnham on TV saying we should be looking at developing sites near to train stations. Yeah, 66,000 houses are the number of houses Wiltshire has to take. That's 4 more Salisburys in 15 or 20 years. So these sites are going to go somewhere, and there's going to be massive lobbying on behalf of developers to get some of those big old green fields in Salisbury into that plan. And the person who's going to decide on that ultimately has a planning consultancy in which those developers are going to be leaning on him. So it is important that we have that conversation. It's important that it gets discussed, and it's important that this committee has a view. Thank you.
Well, we looked into the engine sheds, didn't we, when we were doing the SNDP, and Wiltshire Council was a blanket no. That is a classic site, brownfield site within, hopping distance of the railway station, and we were told no. That's the end of it. It's none of your business. Keep your nose out. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm saying at the moment this is for information, and if and when we get this meeting with the leader of Wiltshire Council, that may well be the time to raise these things. But at the moment, this is an information session. And in order to get people thinking and actively involved. Okay, Janine. What's that? Facilities survey and brownfield land consultation. We have a report on this. I didn't realise that when I started talking to you earlier on, but here you go.
So in addition to the scoping consultation, Wiltshire Council have separately asked whether councils are aware of any previously developed or underused land and that may be suitable for further development or regeneration. So the deadline they've asked for this information by is by the 11th of September. The question regarding developed land, so as you're aware, we've got our neighbourhood development plan, which has identified some sites. However, we're aware this information is 5 years old. So Andy has proposed that officers review and update this information prior to the 11th. So this report is to agree the method about how we do so with this small time scale we've got, not to make the decision tonight about what sites we submit. So Andy's proposed that there'll be a short consultation with all members between the 2nd and the 8th of September. And unfortunately, it's that small period because the whole scoping piece isn't released until the 2nd of September. And then within that period of the 2nd and the 8th, he can provide additional information. And then Andy's proposal is that he would host a workshop on the 8th of September for members to attend, during which you'd be able to have a full review of the brownfield sites. He'd be able to give you a bit more information about the call for sites, the whole scoping information that's come out, and a good starter for 10 for the whole scoping piece, which runs to the end of September. But that workshop would help identify all the brownfield sites that we'd then propose to submit. And these would be finalised in agreement with the chair and the vice chair to allow us to then submit them by the 11th September. So it's a really short timescale. And then you'll see point 2 of the report. Andy has a a number of recommendations that he'd like you to consider this evening. Thank you.
I haven't got. Here it is. This is it. Yeah. I do apologise for my lack of organisation. It's because I had to travel to get here and I've run out of time being stuck in traffic jams. Salisbury's. Right. Recommendations. It is recommended that the committee approves the confirmation that the facilities survey entry for Salisbury is accurate as set out at Appendix A. Has everybody looked at that? Do we approve it?
Just for information, in addition to this, Andy is now looking at the actual numbers we have, because obviously for much smaller areas, the answer yes would mean potentially one primary school, one secondary school, etc. We're obviously aware that there's more than just one of these in Salisbury. So he's actually working on the numbers in the background on this. So then if and when we get to the point of submitting some further information to which is to say, actually, the answer is yes, but we have these numbers, he's doing that in the background. But at the moment, this is all they've asked for, us to check that it's yes or no.
Yeah. Do we want to take these recommendations one at a time? Or are you, would that be easier for you? Yeah, is everybody happy with that recommendation?
Yeah, so that's 2.1.
Okay. 2.2, that the committee approves the inclusion in the response of a query on the treatment of settlement boundaries as set out in the proposal section. Yeah, so in terms of settlement boundaries, I can't find the bits in this. So this is a question of working with people like Old Sarum and Laverstock, isn't it? And Wilton as well, apparently, although I can't see that on the list on this piece of paper. But sorry. Yeah. Okay.
And he has made initial contact with them this stage, but not, not promised anything, but open, started that communication to try and work together.
So I think by doing that, we're not necessarily accepting that we need to accept a quarter of Wiltshire's future development, but we just need to, because they did originally divide the county into those housing management areas, but we are going to try and work with our neighbours. So I think that would be better. 2.3 agrees that the council's work on previously developed land be based on reviewing and updating the site work carried out for its own neighbourhood plan, comprising the 9 previously developed sites at Appendix B, any previously developed sites from the 2020 call of sites that were not shortlisted but may now be relevant, and any further sites identified by members through the process set out in this report. This is jolly, isn't it? Right, so 2.3. Can we shut the window, maybe? Everybody happy with 2.3? 2.4 notes that Wiltshire Council's Brownfield Land Register listed at Appendix C is Wiltshire Council's own record, which it maintains, and which the City Council is under no obligation to verify, and determines whether it wishes to comment on it to be included in the response. Yeah. Approves the site record for Appendix D for the collection of any further sites known to members. That's what we were talking about earlier. And authorises the corporate manager to complete and submit the response by the 11th of September in consultation with me and Caroline, and to report the final submission to the next meeting. You all happy with that? All right, good. Is that everything?
Yeah, that's all of the recommendations.
Right. I would really like it, and I don't know how to bring this about, if other members of this council who weren't on the planning committee took a serious interest in this matter. It's proved very difficult in the past to interest all members in planning. A lot of people are bored by it, think you can't change anything anyway. But it's not the case if we can really work together on this. And our respective political groups, etc., along to actually contribute constructively to the whole process. It would be wonderful. Right, is that it then?
Chair,
Thank you
can I
very
add
much.
something before we go?
Oh, yes, of
I
course.
was thinking about this whole thing and the new local plan and our role in it. And how do I summarize this? I think we're full. Salisbury's full, and today it took me 2 hours to come back from New Forest because of we are full, and everything we're talking about, Tesco, everything we're talking about, Harnham house building, comes down to what's right behind my house is a gyratory, and the fact that there's no room for any more cars coming in and out. And it's the same way, and I know Sven says, it'll be safety that's more important for halting Tesco. I also think traffic, which is not just an our ward, it's a whole regional problem. And how can we get that data, because there is all this traffic data collected and projections, and we use it in Harnham, and that's there, and Wiltshire have done it, and National Highways have done it. How can we get that seriously looked at into our plan?
It's a question to which I don't have an instant answer, but I take your point. And could you email it to Andy? And then I can look at it and talk to him about it and see if there's anything he can come up with to suggest.
So the workshop that Andy's proposing, based off you've agreed the process now. So Andy's looking to schedule the workshop for the 8th of September, during which he will look at call for sites, brownfields, and talk about the whole scoping piece in the round as well. So if there's these sorts of things, you can discuss on that evening with them as well.
That's the same date as we've got the public engagement event in Salisbury on the local plan review. Is that the thing that Wiltshire are doing? That's the 8th of September. I've got on my notebook as well. So it's going to be a planning day. And just let Janine check.
Sorry, yes. So on the 8th of September, it'll be on Salisbury Market. So that'll be between 8:30 and 3. This workshop would be in that evening.
So just blank that day out in your diaries, folks. Give up on hope of doing anything else. No, you're not allowed to go away. You give up on the right to go away when you're the mayor for the year. Andrew.
Well, I share Councillor Mack's thoughts entirely. I do think there are two things that we can do. One is, and we absolutely must do this, I think, is ask Wiltshire Council for a cumulative traffic assessment. Not we always get a traffic assessment for every individual project.
Yeah.
Which seems to come out that, we can, we're nearly at our limit, but it's okay. But a cumulative traffic assessment of, X thousand houses coming to Salisbury, they have to prove that is not going to break the Salisbury traffic bank. So cumulative traffic assessment, I think those 3 words we need to ingrain in our brains, and at every consultation that we have, we keep the mantra, you need to prove to us that a cumulative traffic assessment will still work for Salisbury if you give us all these extra houses that need to be built. And I think the second thing is, we can't model. We can't model in the same way that Wiltshire Council can, and we won't have the budget to pay for modelling. But what we can do is we can hoover up all of the traffic reports that have got, and all the conclusions, a little bit in the way that Harnham Housing have done recently, but specifically around Harnham. But we can, corral all of those documents And trust me, we can feed all of those into AI and it will pull out all of the key conclusions. It won't be able to model, but it will be able to pull out all of the conclusions and give you a report that's, you know, not based on modeling, but is based on individual conclusions from individual reports and you know, trying to crunch them together. So there are two key things I think we absolutely can do practically. One is a request to Wiltshire Council, and one is just, you know, crunch all the reports that we can get our hands on into AI, and it'll do the hard work for us. Not modelling, but it'll come out with some really important information and evidence points. Thank you.
I think that's good because I've noticed with the with some current planning applications, they're not taking a cumulative impact really. They're going on traffic assessment things from previously, and then they've had to have another think now because of our objections. Sven.
Chair, thank you. I think you'll find Wiltshire Council, when it comes to individual planning applications, aren't allowed to have a cumulative impact assessment as part of the application. They have to assess every application on an individual basis.
Yeah, but this is madness.
The last local plan, the data in there was supposed to have been a cumulative traffic impact assessment. And I've got the report somewhere at home on my computer sent to me only recently, which I'll forward to everybody on this committee if you so wish. And that was, there were three scenarios: do nothing, do minimum, and do something. The difference between do nothing and do something in some parts of the network were shown to be fairly much unchanged, but for traffic coming in from Harnham and from Downton and from Blandford, the queues were several times what they are currently. The numbers were astronomical. So in the city going out, it was fine. Coming into the city from the south, far less so.
And what was the date of that? I remember that, but was that a few years ago now?
It was a few years ago now, 2022.
But
possibly.
so those figures won't reflect things like the proposed Coombe Road development or the potentially another 1,000 on the Netherhampton Road or the Persimmon one?
So I asked that question and I listed all the applications: Site 6, Site 8, Netherhampton Road, the 1,000 homes from Bowyer's on Netherhampton Road, 86 houses being built at the hospital, heat project and all that stuff. And the answer was that it was a bit vague. It said sort of, well, we have to include all these other sites from in and around and the local area network. So it houses at Laverstock and Larkhill and various other places, Old Sarum. But interestingly, they couldn't quite remember whether the additional 1,000 homes that Bowyer's are suggesting was in there. I suspect not, because that development wasn't on the table at the time these traffic counts were done for the local plan. The heat project was in there, but only traffic that was going to use the site on a daily basis, the day surgery unit. So that was just for people visiting the site for work and patients over the period that the working day, for want of a better word. It didn't include the 300 houses that are part of the heat project at a later date. So there was some stuff in there which they think might have been in the traffic count, but couldn't quite be sure. There were things miles outside the area which were in the traffic count, which may or may not have made any difference. So it's a bit spurious, but I've got the email somewhere and I'll forward it to, I'll find the names of everybody on the committee and I'll send it to you all. You can have a look.
So is there any follow-up action we can take with them to try to get a more comprehensive assessment and to make sure that they have covered all those things, those development ideas that we've been talking about?
I am assuming in the new variant of the local plan, all that stuff will be taken into account. But assumption is the mother of all cock-ups, as we know. So
Can you ask?
There was an interesting conversation with Wyatt Holmes at the last engagement meeting. We were having a conversation about traffic counts, Highland Gyratory. And their traffic guy said, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but not super tongue-in-cheek, he said, what your local council should be doing, your local councillors should be doing, is lobbying to get Wiltshire Council to improve the road networks, wherever that may be, to incorporate all the development that's being planned. And that may mean, he said, further south, so Coombe Bissett, Homington, all that sort of stuff out in the sticks out there. Perhaps that is the bit, he said, that you need to look at to take traffic round the back of the city, which is fine. But the minute you upgrade all the road network out there from the country lanes to a proper road, guess what happens to the bit in the middle? It'll get filled up with houses.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Right. Members, it's been a really interesting meeting. I hope everybody feels that they've actually had a chance to actually contribute something worthwhile to this discussion. I know we've veered about a bit on and off topic, but I don't mind doing that if you don't. Thank you for everybody, and we will let's try and keep engaged with this local plan development and spread the word amongst your groups that we do need everybody to poke their noses in. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks then. I'm going to say bye then. What is this? This is what I've got.